Okay, hi IBCA. Today I'm gonna walk us through the assignment that we did on in class a couple days ago, the Monet one. We're gonna try again to do the astronomy one from Apologia, chapter 6 or whatever it was called. So if you can get that file downloaded and ready to go for Monday, that would help us out a whole lot. I'm gonna add the file to our forum too, just in case people are still having trouble with the Google Drive. So anyway, so the paper that I handed out to you guys, the assignment that we did in class together, looks like this. We opened the file Monet Raw, and you should see this in the file that I shared with you guys in the Google Drive. So you find it, open it. Mine's already open. I don't think any of y'all had really too many problems with that, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. So anyway, here's a raw file. It looks like this. Let me change my view because I don't think y'all's view looks like mine. Most people do not. So we're going to do a one page. It should look something like this. This is the actual page size. Your view right here will just, it doesn't change anything about your actual document. It just shows it just changes how you see it on the page. So you can do any of these and it doesn't even matter. It's not changing when it prints out. It's gonna be the same. Okay, so here's our raw data. We are going to follow the instructions on what to do. So first we opened our file. We've done this. We opened Monet Raw. Now we're going to do number 2, change orientation to landscape. Okay, this was under layout. Under your layout tab. If you're dealing with Microsoft Word 2010, y'all are missing, y'all's tabs are a tiny bit different, but you should still be able to do pretty much all the same stuff. Okay, so I'm going to be just dealing with, I think I'm using 2016 right now. So for those of you using a little bit newer versions, it's under layout and orientation. Remember, this is landscape orientation. This is portrait orientation. So we're going to change it to landscape. Go back to my paper to see what we're doing. We've already done that. So change orientation to landscape. Now we're going to change the first instance of Monet to title style. So this word right here, we need to find our styles. Now as you can see, there's nothing up here says styles. So a few people, they'll say, hey, Miss Stephanie, I don't have that. What we have to double check on these is to look at which of these tabs that we're looking at. Right now I'm still under layout. So yeah, styles aren't listed up here. Styles are under our home key, this very first thing that it usually default, well actually I guess it's second, shows on here. And here's your styles. You may not have this many styles. You may have more, you may have less. This little arrow right here, you click it and you should see even more styles, and you can create your own even. Call it whatever you want. For our purposes today, we're going to just do, I think it said title, didn't it? Yes, to title style. So we're here and with a couple of these, you don't have to have the whole line selected. So this whole line is going to turn into a title, even if it's just clicked inside there somewhere. So, okay, so we've got that. Let's go. Now we're going to modify the title style to Times New Roman bold. Remember, to change this, do not change it over here. This is not going to help us. We're actually modifying the title style. So right here, we right click and click modify. I know there's a camera. I can't see it, but I know there's a camera somewhere over there. So I'm going to move some things over to the left to make sure y'all can see them, but you don't have to do that. So we're going to change. Here's where all of these things are, the settings are for that specific style. We're going to change this to Times New Roman. Now mine so happens to be up here in the top things that I've used recently. If yours is not, you can type TIM and it should kind of auto-fill there, and that's where you find it. And bold. Times New Roman bold, yes. Okay, so that's all we have to do here, and we hit OK. So now anytime we call something a title, it's going to be Times New Roman, bold, and I think 28, whatever it was defaulted to. Okay. If yours doesn't look exactly like mine, and check your number right here, your font size. Maybe yours didn't default to 28, or if you copied and pasted it in, sometimes those sizes aren't exact. So if you want to look exactly like mine, change that to 28. But it should already be that for most of y'all. Okay. Next thing. Apply subtitle style to 1840, 1926. So that's this right here. We're going to call it subtitle. It's that easy. Click somewhere in this line and click subtitle. And that's done. Modify subtitle style to Times New Roman. Just like we did before, we're going to right click, hit modify, and change this to Times New Roman. This time it should be in your recently used, even if it wasn't before. And I'm not changing anything else, but mine's already at 11. Black, it might be automatic, but black font color and whatever else, we're just leaving it alone. Okay. Number 7, change the first paragraph beginning with Monet painted with short brush strokes to italics and 9-point font. So we want this part right here. We're going to just change it here. We're not going to change anything in the style because this is just text. We're going to change it to italics, so we can either hit Control I, or you can click this little I right here. And the 9-point font. Now we can use our hotkey and can do Control open brackets, or you can just change it right here. So now we know we have 9-point and italics right there. Yes, this one's done. Change dabble in paint to the heading 1 style. So right here, dabble in paint, and let's make it heading 1. I believe Nathan asked me if we could, if that need to be blue. Yes, it defaults to blue. Now, you are welcome to go, I don't like blue. Let's change it to green and do that. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to hit Control Z and make it back to what we were doing in class. But honestly, the more adjustments you make to it and the more you play with that, the better you'll be at it. And that's the whole point of this. So you do not have to match everything I do, but I want you to be able to do at least what I do. And if you can do more than that, awesome. So let's get rid of this one. Number 9, modify heading 1 style to 18-point Georgia font. So heading 1, modify 18-point, and this should be Georgia. This is also in my recently used because I've already done this. If you haven't, again, just type GEO and it should pop right there. It should look about like this. Number 10, apply bold font to the word materials found underneath dabble in paint. That's easy, just bold font. So right here, I'm going to double click the word. If you highlight like this, like click and drag, that's okay. You can, sometimes people mess up and kind of like do something like this, and then you end up messing up your word. Hit Control Z to put it back, and you don't even realize you've done it, especially with the laptops with those touchpad things. It can be really frustrating. And so I do recommend double clicking the word to select a word instead of highlighting and dragging, because as you can see, like if I were to have like highlight a little bit and then drag it, you can, which is a cool feature if you're trying to, let's say take this word here and drag it to the end. I mean, it's kind of neat, I guess, but like it can kind of annoy the heck out of you when you're trying to just select a word. So double click the word, and I was talking too much, I forgot what I was supposed to do. Bold, just make it bold. Okay, so we're just gonna hit Control B, and then you have the word materials. Okay, so it's in bold. Apply the 2-column layout to the bulleted list under materials. Okay, so this bulleted list right here under materials, we're going to highlight it. Some of y'all are having some hard time highlighting this stuff, again, with your mouse. So a shortcut is to hold down your Shift key and then use your down arrow. It does like this. When you get to the very last one, for some reason it always wants to grab that word process. So we're not going to do that. You can either do that and then back arrow. Basically just use your arrow. So I'm doing back arrow right now until I ended up like here. Right arrow, left arrow, right arrow. Just holding down the shift key highlights these things. So you can have it exactly like you want it. For columns, some of y'all, your columns run a different place. But for most of us, columns are under layout. Columns, we're going to change this to 2. So all it did was take just just that bulleted list and make it 2 columns. Without the right parts highlighted, you could have had some kind of wonkiness there, but this one looks like it came out fine. Okay, so let's go back. Got it. Using your format painter, make process formatting look exactly like materials. So we're going to highlight the word materials or double click it. Go to home to find your format painter right here by your clipboard. Click format painter, and you don't see anything until you come right here and your little paintbrush pops up. Then we're going to highlight process. You can do it that way, or double click this, do the format painter, and then double click the word process, and it'll do it to that word. Okay. So I think y'all are pretty good on your format painter. Number 13, adjust paragraph spacing for the numbered list under process to 0 point after and single line spacing. I literally just forgot for the numbered list. Okay. So for this list, I'm going to highlight this part here. Here's where we change our paragraph spacing. You're going to use this a lot. This whole paragraph menu right here. Click your dialog box launcher. A couple of you, I think, are using open word or something else. This little guy right here would get you there. This is your line and spacing, and you'd want to go to line spacing options if you've got it there. It basically opens the same exact thing. So our line spacing options are right here. Let me show you that again. This dialog box launcher, click it. Spacing after, we're going to change it to 0. And line spacing, I'm changing it to single. It just moved everything a little bit closer together. 0 point, single line spacing, good. Insert a section break before the words Claude Monet found directly beneath the numbered list. Change Claude Monet to bold. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make this bold. I'm gonna triple click that line, just hit bold. Right before it, I'm gonna put a section break. Understanding breaks is not hard, but it's also not the most intuitive part of all this. I don't remember where this is. Layout, under layout. So under layout, here's breaks. You want to click this little arrow beside it. A page break means it will bring you to another page. You'll have a new page. Instead of hitting enter a whole bunch of times to get to a new page, boop, you start a new page with a page break. We don't want that. Column break indicates that the text following the column break will begin in the next column. Text wrapping, we're using a section break right here. We're going to use a continuous section break. So basically, you won't see any difference at all. We put it, you see nothing happen. But now what will happen is if we do anything to apply to this section, it won't fool with anything up here. I'm going to show you what this looks like real quick under outline view. You see the sections. We created a section here with doing the having just that section put in as columns, and then this section put in as, I think our paragraph spacing was different. So we just created another continuous section break right here. All this is under your view. Let me close the outline view. If you ever are like, there's something weird going on in this document, I just cannot figure out what's going on, hit view. Click outline, and usually more stuff will show up that you didn't know was even there, and then that way you can actually kind of manhandle this thing a little easier. So close that. Now what are we doing after that? Insert a section break. Got that. Place your cursor in the second section that you just created and adjust the page margins to 1/2 inch. That's 0.5 inch, not 5 inch. Quite a few of you put 5 instead of 0.5, and so it ended up, your paper is only 8.5 by 11. It's only 8.5. Right now, Word thinks that what we are creating here is on a piece of paper like this. So if you tell it a 5-inch margin on the left and a 5-inch margin on the right, you're only dealing with 8. Actually, I'm sorry, we're turned this way. You have 11 inches, and so you have 5 this way and 5 this way. It thinks you're trying to write like right here. And then if you put 5 top and 5 bottom, you end up with nothing at all on the paper. So that's why a couple of them were like, hey, error, we can't do this. Because if your paper is 8.5 by 11 and you tell it 5-inch margins, you can't print. But 1/2-inch margin, you know, just around the edges. So we want it in this section only. So we're creating a document here. In this bottom section, we're having a 1/2-inch margins, which should actually be a little bit closer to the edge than the rest of the document, because I think the rest of it's 1 inch. So this will be 1/2 inch on this bottom section. So as long as our cursor is somewhere down here, and you see how mine is actually spilling over into 2 pages right now as well. Like some people had that problem before, but you'll see it's going to all get together. So as long as it's down here, we're going to change our margins, which is under layout, right here in the layout tab, margins. And we're going to go to custom margins, but just as a little caveat, see how some of these are preloaded margin settings that people already like, or the last custom setting, whatever the last thing was that you did. The one called narrow, which is actually the one I use the most, already is 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. So you could technically just click narrow, but I'm not going to. Just in case your test asks you to do something like 0.6 or something like that, I'm going to show you how to do it. So custom margins right here. Then your margins, top, left, bottom, and right. We're going to hit 0.5. The tab button, like the tab key, click it. It'll take you to the next field. It'll just make you a lot faster at getting around on your keyboard. So 1/2 inches all the way around like this. We want to, and then pay attention to this section right here. Apply to this section. You could say this point forward, the whole document, whatever. We want it to just be this section. And now you see how it stretched out to where now there's only a 1/2 inch. If you look at this ruler up here, there's only, it seems like it's even less than a 1/2 inch, but anyway, it was set to a 1/2 inch right here and right here. Okay. So, place cursor, we've done this. Change the 3 biographical paragraphs about Claude Monet found at the end of the document, including the heading, to 8-point italicized font. And special indentation. Okay, let's do the 8-point italicized font first. Okay, so we're going to start here and go all the way through, like all of this. Change it to italics, Control I. Then under home, we have the 8-point right here. That, if all of the rest of your sizes and everything else is done just like mine, it should have brought you to 1 page only. You should no longer be spilling into a 2nd page. Okay? So, about like this. And then what did it say? Adjust the paragraph settings to 1/2 inch, special indentation on first line. Okay, what I want to show you here is if you look closely, there are 3 paragraphs. This one, and this one. But right now they are only separated by like a space. The only reason Word even knows these are separate paragraphs is because I hit enter. When I typed in from a bridge that crossed his pond, period, I hit enter and then it gave us a new paragraph. Traditional way of word processing is that these would have indentations on it. So what we're going to do, highlight the stuff again, go to our paragraph and change this indentation right here to special first line 1/2 inch. So let's see what happens. It still has a space after each paragraph, but it moved all of these in as an indentation of a 1/2 inch for all of this. Now, I guess I'll leave it like this. I can't remember what the original has. I actually don't like all these extra spaces between the paragraphs, so I prefer to move those like right there. This little guy right here says remove, add a space after the paragraph. So after every time you hit enter, it'll give you a whole space, a line space. There, or you can click it here and it'll say spacing before or after, and we can tell it 0. That brings it all together. Or if you want it there. I think in class we kept it there. So add a space after the paragraph. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It can stay there. I prefer it all together, but I didn't tell y'all to do that on the directions, so we're going to leave it. All that's done. Okay. Number 17, insert a photo of a Monet painting in position in bottom right with square text wrapping and adjust the size to approximately 2 by 2. So we need a Monet painting in the bottom right, square text wrapping. I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor somewhere down here. I think I said this in class, but if you hit Control Home, the home key for most keyboards is going to be somewhere over, mine says HM, right here by the insert button and all that. Control Home will take you to the very beginning of a document, and Control End, END, will take you to the very end of any document. And so I'm going to click, I just want my cursor to be right here so that when I go to insert my photo, that's where it'll insert. If you insert it somewhere else, it's not a huge deal. Just don't touch it once it's in, and then we will change the text wrapping to make it work for you. Okay, so we're going to insert. Go to your insert tab right here, and you want to insert an online picture. If your computer is connected to the internet, it should come up an image search like this. If for some reason you cannot get your computer to connect to the internet, you can still insert a picture. Just go to insert pictures. This is going to have to be something on your hard drive. This is going to have to be something that you already have, you know, like just whatever you have on your hard drive somewhere. I don't even know what this is right here. Like, but, or like you can insert, they used to have clip art on all of these. I think clip art, I haven't really looked for any, but I think clip art has changed to where it is just, I think clip art is only online now, unfortunately. They used to have some that would come loaded with the software. They were all kind of cheesy, but so it's way better now, but you just, if you don't have the internet, you kind of can't get them. Because I do not see clip art. I don't think it's available anymore. So online pictures, and I'm going to type in Monet in the Bing image search. If you do this OneDrive personal, it's going to search in your own drive, and if you've never saved a Monet painting, you're not going to find anything. So let's see what's going on here. If I hover over it, alt text is supposed to pop up. I'm going to click on this one right here because it looks nice and square, and I'm kind of hoping for something squarish, but anything you want to put is fine. Matters not to me. So I'm going to insert there. And depending on what size that picture is that was downloaded to the internet, uploaded to the internet, for example, this, whoever uploaded this to the internet where I found it on that Bing search, came in at 7.88 inch by 7.85 inch, almost square. So I'm going to go ahead and change one of these to 2 and hit enter. Well, y'all's might do right. You're supposed to, there's a setting right here that is about locking your aspect ratio. For some reason mine's not checked. They normally are. So if you lock aspect ratio, let me go back and show you that again. So when I go to resize this, I'm going to change this right here from, on my size. Hold on. Insert. Online pictures. We'll do this again. An aspect ratio means if I change the 7 inch to 2, the other one will, just like a ratio, if it's 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 or 5 to 3 or whatever, when you change that 5, it stays congruent. I think that's the right word for it. Or that's just the same. When I changed that 2, did you see how the height went down to 2 inch, but it was still like 7 inches long, so it looked dumb. So what I'm going to do here is if I change my size with this dialog box launcher and tell it to lock the aspect ratio, keep my, I can change the height right here, or I can go back up here and change this exact same thing. I'm going to tell it 2 inches. And if you see, it automatically adjusted it kind of close to what I wanted, 2.44, 1.99. If I need it to be an exact something, all you have to do is change that and tell it don't lock the aspect ratio, and you can trim it how you please. I'm going to get rid of this little box right here. A lot of people had trouble with this. What you need to do is click somewhere on the line that routes around it. Just hit the delete button on your keyboard, and it should get rid of it. I'm going to now leave it there for now and go up to this Picture Tools Format tab and Wrap Text. And change it to any of these will actually let you move it wherever you want it. I'm going to put it as square, or was it in line with text? I don't know, it was square text wrapping. Okay, so under wrap text, I'm going to put square. So what happens now is when I drag this up to this page right here, all this text, wherever I stick it, is like going square around it. But I want it in the bottom right corner, somewhere over here. I don't want words on the other side of it, though. That looks weird. Okay. Also, y'all probably all know how to do this already, but if you're kind of like, well, I wish it was a little bit bigger than that, you can just adjust the corners right here. If you adjust any of these 4 corners, your picture will not look weird. If you adjust like this top one, you're going to be squishing the painting and that's not how it was. That's not how it was done. If you pull it from the side, you're going to make it look all stretchy, and that's not how Monet drew it either. He painted like this perspective, I guess, and so we want to keep it that way. So you want to pull one of these corners, or else change up here your sizes. Okay. Okay. One more thing, I think. I'm gonna get done with this. Okay, change the page color using a picture fill effect using a Monet painting. Okay, this is kind of just for fun. You do have to change page color on the test. I think every test requires you to do it. It's not hard. Mine is under design. Yours might have a different tab, but I think design is where most of you will find it. Way over here it says page color. You can pick a page color. If it tells you blue accent 1, lighter 40%, you need to make sure you pick that one. But I wanted y'all to play a little bit more with this instead of just picking a color. So what you'll do is fill effects. You can fill it with some of this kind of stuff, whatever you want. It's ugly as can be. What I asked y'all to do in that assignment is to put a picture there. So you would select picture. We're going to search Bing again, and I'm going to put, I'll put French Impressionism, since that's what he was, and let's see what shows up. Maybe there'll be more. It really should be Monet behind there. Just grab something, hit insert. This should not print out when you're printing your page, though. As far as I can tell, there's only one hack to make it print. Page color will give you more problems with just about anything. It looks like it's like hung my computer up now. Here it is. So yeah, we're going to do this, hit OK, and there it is. It's not very pretty. So I could go change it, find a different one. Or I can just change it completely to something else. Some kind of, I don't know, whatever that is. What is this called? Newsprint. There you go. Whatever you want to put in the background. Play around with that. Page color. You can find more colors here. And even more colors if you are working for somebody and they say that their color green is RGB 243, 253, 248. That's where you find it right here. RGB stands for the red, green, blue, and you tell it which of these numbers to get an exact color that they need. Anyway, that is the end of this. If y'all would try it again at home, and if you want to print it out, see what it looks like printed out, that would be cool too. You can print out all the things that we do for that matter. If you want to make yourself a little portfolio of work that you've done, that would be kind of a neat, I guess, ending kind of thing for you guys. All right. Thank y'all, and I will see y'all Monday.